I'd like to show you a quick game that was played in Chess Club this morning. Both sides start off by moving the e-pawn up 2 squares, which is great. White moves the bishop to c4, which tells me that White probably wants to do the matrix. Black responds by moving the bishop, which could be dangerous, and of course, White does do the matrix. And so it's a checkmate in one move if White can get the queen to the f7 square. What Black does to prevent this is to move the pawn to g6, and that's one of the worst moves that Black could make. And the reason why is that it leaves the pawn on f7 unprotected. And so if the queen takes the pawn at d5, the king is in check, but the queen is also attacking the rook at the same time. And no matter what Black plays, White's going to take the rook. There are many ways that this game could play out. When I was talking to the boys that played the game, I asked what move they thought would be a good next move. And one of the boys said taking the knight and blocking the check. But that is actually a crazy move. White's going to take the rook no matter what Black does. And now the king is in check. And the only way that Black can block the check is by moving the knight in front of it. But it's a free knight, so the queen can take that, putting the king in check again. King has to move out of the way. White can take another one of Black's pieces and put the king in check. And this game is quickly falling apart for Black. Probably the move that I see the most after the queen takes the pawn is that Black will usually put the queen in the square in front of the king, or put the bishop in front. But either way, no matter what Black does, White's going to take that rook and be ahead 6 points to no points. So if Black doesn't put the king here at f8 or the queen at f8, then eventually that knight's going to fall. So let's say that Black does something crazy like move the bishop here. White can put the king in check again. And if the queen were to go ahead and block the king here, then White could start taking pawns off the board. No matter what happens, it's going to be a huge advantage for White.